Hey everybody, this is Teresa Alcoin. I am your health defender, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about fevers, why they're so important, when should you be concerned, how should we handle it, and really the effect that fevers in our childhood have on us for the rest of our life. It is pretty amazing. Mother Nature has an amazing system. When she put together our immune system, she knew what she was doing. Here's my disclaimer. And I'm not a doctor, don't pretend to be. The information and opinions that I present to you are for educational purposes only and are not a substitute for professional medical prevention, diagnosis, or treatment. And you can read the rest of this. This is basically saying, I really want you to get involved yourself. Hopefully you are, as I'm asking you there, doing your own research, deciding for yourself the validity of all of the information that is presented to you, and in here any related links as well. So let's get started. First of all, a fever is necessary for your immune system to activate. I mean, it's vital. If you negate the fever, or if you do away with the fever, if you reduce the fever, your immune system is not going to be as productive as it needs to be. Secondly, your fever creates an inhospitable environment for invading organisms. So basically you're going to burn them off. So you have two sides to your immune system. And if you've watched my other video on your immune system, you know you've got a cellular immunity, and separate from that you have the humoral immunity. Both are really important. The cellular immunity kicks off everything. It is your first line of defense. It's even when you cough or sneeze, and then you have your white blood cells and all the macrophages and all those fancy words for those white blood cells go to work for you. I've got a picture of soldiers here. That's how I've always explained it to my kids. The soldiers in your body are really running and working hard for you, trying to get the bad guys out of your body, and they get hot doing that. And so that's a natural thing to have a fever. So you don't want to make your soldiers go to sleep, do you? So let's let the fever run its course as long as it doesn't get too high. And then you have the humoral side, which kicks in as well. It's like the backup soldiers. This is actually where you make your antibodies so that your system remembers whatever you are fighting, so that you are well prepared to fight it again and never have the symptoms again. But in order for that lifelong immunity to happen, you have to have both of those systems working together. Just because you have antibodies to something does not mean that's forever. A vaccine, for example, makes your body produce antibodies. Well, in most people, not all people. But that never gives you lifelong immunity. You may be immune to the measles or whatever for, I don't know, a few years, maybe 10 years. But most adults are not immune anymore because we've lost that. But I talk a lot about that in my other video that explains the human immune system. So for now, we're going to focus on fevers. This is a healing response. Please don't think of fevers as a symptom of some disease or illness. It is a healing response. It is intended. That's the way our bodies were made. So here's what happens. When you have a fever, you create more antibodies. You produce more white blood cells. You produce more interferon, which blocks the spread of viruses to healthy cells, and it walls off iron. Why is that important? Because if you've got a bacterial infection, those bacteria are going to be feeding on the iron in your system. But if you got a fever, it blocks that from happening. Is that cool or what? Okay. Here's a no-no, and you've probably heard about this. I mean, when kids get a vaccine, it's a normal occurrence for them to run a fever afterwards. Please don't give them Tylenol. Don't ever give your child Tylenol. Why? And I think it's horrible for the adults as well. Tylenol depletes your glutathione. Your glutathione is your number one antioxidant. It is the master antioxidant. We'll talk about it. And there are numbers of articles coming out from various sources, actually, about there is a possibility, because you're depleting the glutathione in your body, and when you understand the next couple of things that I explain about that, you'll see why Tylenol could possibly trigger autism in kids if they're genetically susceptible. So just don't take a chance. No Tylenol, especially after a vaccine. Glutathione. It is the master antioxidant. It is the body's most important endogenous antioxidant. That means it's the most important that your body makes. Your body makes this antioxidant. And yes, you can eat foods and things that help you produce it, but your body makes it. So here's what it does. You want to always have plenty of glutathione. It increases, this is just a short list, there's actually much more. It increases your energy. It slows down the aging process. Protects your immune system. This is key. Detoxifies your liver and your cells. Is that important or what? It improves your mental focus and clarity. I want that. Does anybody else? It aids in managing autism. It is very important. It reduces the effects of stress. It improves your skin. It can even help treat psoriasis and all those other skin challenges. It assists you in athletic performance and recovery. It is powerful. Taking Tylenol reduces it, kills it in your body. Please know that. It depletes it, to say the least, for adults and children. It is a brain protector. Now, unlike most of the other antioxidants that our body is blessed with, this one gets through the blood-brain barrier. It protects your brain. This is so critical in children. So when you take acetaminophen products like Tylenol, that depletes the glutathione, and if you deplete it in the brain, you can end up with oxidative damage, inflammation, brain injury. Do you see how these are connected? So here's a great quote from this book, and I highly recommend this book, The Unvaccinated Child, a treatment guide for parents and caregivers. Normally, children don't need to be treated for a high fever unless they're less than 3 months old. Brain damage will not occur unless a fever is maintained at 107 degrees for a long time. Here's what is recommended: fluids, bed rest, cool rags, but it is no longer recommended to give any type of aspirin during a fever because you want the fever to do its job. And don't do a cold or ice water bath or an alcohol rub. Okay, normal fevers are between 100 and 104. Now, except in newborns, if they're under 3 months, you need to call your MD. Fevers greater than 100.4 in newborns need to be checked out immediately. So again, I want to reference this book by Dr. Thompson. It is a great book that actually I've got it right here on top of one of my stacks. So yeah, this is a tremendous book. Highly recommended. And in summary here, fevers turn on the immune system. They burn off the bad bugs. Please let the fever happen. Now there's more. This is just the beginning of the story. Acute childhood illnesses with fever, that's called a febrile illness, provide protection, significant protection against many chronic diseases later in life, including autoimmune diseases, even certain cancers. I'm going to cite just a few studies for you so that you know, I had the measles, some of you may have, most people have not had them, unfortunately, or the chickenpox and things like that. But there are advantages to having them, understand this. A British study showed that the incidence of ovarian cancer was lower, significantly lower, in women with a history of having the measles, mumps, rubella, or chickenpox in childhood. And these are the figures, by 53%, 39%, 38%, and 34% respectively. Pretty interesting. Another study, this is studying European and Israeli melanoma patients. Those who experience influenza, pneumonia, and almost any febrile infection earlier in life, like those in the pictures up top, were significantly less likely to develop melanoma than those who had not, roughly in proportion to the number of infections they reported. The more febrile infections, the less likely they were to have melanoma. Interesting. Another study, this is a Swiss study of adults with various cancers, large study. They had all different kinds of cancers, people who had been diagnosed with cancer. And look at this. Those who experienced measles, mumps, rubella, chickenpox, pertussis, or scarlet fever were 20% less likely to develop genital, prostate, GI, skin, lung, or ENT cancer if they experienced just one of them. If they experienced 3 or 4 of them, they were 60% less likely to be diagnosed with cancer. If they experienced more than 4, 5 or more, they were 76% less likely to come down with a cancer diagnosis. This is really interesting, but there's something totally over here because we were so intent on, not letting our kids have any of these illnesses, but they're not deadly illnesses here. We need to understand that if you're in a third world country, that getting anything, just a little slight case of diarrhea, can be a deathly, where they don't have sanitation and they don't have clean water, they don't have sewage and refrigeration and all of that. But here in this country, it is rare. It's extremely rare, and it has been for a long time. In fact, in 1963, when the first measles injection happened, the first measles vaccine was on the scene in 1963. By that time, mortality from the measles had already decreased by almost 99%. Why? That's before antibiotics and before vaccines. Well, I'll tell you why. Because we got cleaned up here. We got our hygiene improved. We started washing our hands. We started using toilets. We had running water that was clean. We weren't living in filth. When refrigeration happened and all those things happened, all these diseases, even scarlet fever, I don't think there was even a vaccine for that ever. They all reduced to almost nothing before vaccines were on the scene. But we've been taught that vaccines have been the epitome of science and medicine, and that they saved the world. We have been brainwashed. I'm so sorry to tell you that. And all these facts you can look. I've got a lot of information on my website, and you can find it yourself. But there are charts, mortality, death charts, all over the government that show this. It's pretty fascinating. So anyway, just know Mother Nature just doesn't make mistakes like we do as humans. So, in fact, their cultural amnesia is what I like to call it, because when our kids were little, actually, my daughter had the measles. Measles or the chickenpox. I remember her coming down with one of those. I had them all. But we've got a cultural amnesia going on in this country right now. Your great-great-grandparents and probably your great-grandparents remember when kids had the measles and all this, and had the fevers, and stayed home from school, and didn't run to the doctor for everything that you think might be wrong with your child. We were a much more self-sufficient society, less dependent on Western medicine, less dependent on prescriptions and pharma. But we've got some cultural amnesia going on. I want to tell you, I used to explain to my children, when you have a fever, it is a good thing as long as it's not too high, because your body is turning on its own immune system and you're burning off the bad bugs. And I used to tell my kids, listen, I know, because I didn't want to give them anything to negate the fever. And they didn't feel good. So they got through it. Let me share with you what I used to tell my kids. I used to tell my daughter and my son, listen, you've got a fever. It's a low-grade fever, or it's only 102 or 3 or whatever it was. I said, and you need to know you're going to be fine. We're going to let you have that fever because the soldiers in your body and your bloodstream, they are running hard. They're fighting hard. They're fighting this bad virus you've got, or this upset stomach you've got, or this bug you've got, whatever it is, the flu or whatever. So, they knew that it was a good thing because the soldiers in their body were running hard and getting hot, and that was making them hot. So I'm talking to my granddaughter just a couple weeks ago, and she was telling me that her sister, who's a half sister, who's about, I think she's 6, was having a fever. And I said, well, Skylar, let me tell you what you can tell her. You can tell her that she's got soldiers in her body who are fighting that bug. And before I could even finish that sentence, she said, Mimi, stop. I've already told her the story. So this is a cultural story I want passed down to my kids and grandkids and their kids and grandkids forever. Because my granddaughter, had already shared that story with her sister, who was not feeling so hot and she had a fever. So anyway, that's a good way to explain it. I hope that helps. And listen, guys, if you want to learn more, stay more informed, if you want to know the whole story about vaccines and much more, please go to the presentations and resources at yourhealthdefender.com. I appreciate you being with us today. Thank you so much. And I hope you learned something. Hope you feel much more comfortable about having a fever yourself and dealing with fevers when your babies and children have them too. Thanks.